Thank you all for being here this morning. I'm going to introduce the panel. I'll actually let them introduce themselves. And then we've got some questions. We're just going to go back and forth, take audience questions, and we're just going to have a conversation, all right? So again, my name is Andrea Brainard. I'm the Senior Director for Children's Health in Dallas. I have been in the field for almost 28 years, and I've been at Children's Health for 20 years. Jewel?
Good morning. I am Jewel Newell, or JC Newell, as I'm known in some circles. I am a senior cybersecurity project manager for the EDGE program at Kaiser Permanente. I am also the owner of Newell Recruiting and Consulting, or a company, LLC, but I have been in the industry for well over 20 years. Oh, you can hear me? I've been in the industry for well over 20 years, military veteran, was an aircraft electrician, then I became a biomedical equipment technician. I'm also HVAC certified for hospital heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Myra. I am a biomed supervisor for Memorial Healthcare System. I've been in the field for about 7 years, and I'm also known as the biomed girl. I have some social media channels like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, where I try to promote the HTM field and try to attract the young generation so we can keep growing this industry. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rana Halou. I work with Prothel. I've been in the field, in the biomedical engineering field, for almost 12 years now. I know I feel a little bit old.
Right.
I just feel a little bit old. You're still young at heart. No, you're still young at heart here. I love what I do on a daily basis. I work for, like I said, Prothel. I've been with Advent Health Palm Coast for almost 4 years now. I came from New York, where I was working also for Prothel for 8 years, anywhere from management regarding inventory, and worked my way up into assistant directory. So looking forward to being with great, amazing people here, as well as the women on this panel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ina Figueroa. I am the owner of Evolve Medical Solution. We focus on medical equipment repairs, and I've been in the industry for close to 6 years.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trina D. I'm the Director of Clinical Engineering at Advent Health Central Florida Division. I've been in the industry for about 20 years and still love it.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer. I've been in the industry for about 5 to 7 years. Currently, I'm Assistant Unit Director over at UC Health Medical Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. So last Monday I took the 14-hour drive and come to be with you guys all today. So we'll see how this goes.
All right, so our first question, obviously, what or who inspired you to get in the HTM field? Anybody want to take it?
I guess I take it. So my story starts back when I used to live in Colombia. I'm originally from Colombia. And when I was in 10th grade, I knew I wanted to do some kind of engineering. And one time there was a career fair at my high school. So there was somebody presenting, the biomedical engineering field, and I got really interested in it. And also my mom wanted me to be in healthcare, but I was like, no, listen, I don't like needles, I don't like blood. That's not for me. So, but I ended up finding out about biomedical engineering. Then when I moved here to United States, I went to a community college to study English, and that college also had an associates of biomedical engineering, or it was more like engineering technology with a focus on biomedical engineering, and that's what I ended up doing. So it was, part my mom with the healthcare pushing, and also my dad, who is more like a technical person. He's more like into electronics and stuff, and so it was a little bit of both of them. And then when I graduated with my associate's degree, there was somebody in my family that recommended for me to do a volunteering in a hospital, and that's when I took her advice, and I went to a hospital, and I was accepted to be a volunteer there. And then the same day that I started, the biomed guy was walking around, and I ended up talking to him. He's like, you know what, come to our department. We need people like you. And I was like, yeah. So, and that's the hospital I've been working on since then. It's been a little bit more than 7 years.
Awesome. Trina, you said you've been in the field for 20 years. So where'd you get your start and how'd you get into it?
So I originally started in healthcare as a medical assistant in a children's hospital. Interestingly enough, that career actually started because my youngest son, my middle child, was born with a heart defect, and I was doing a lot of care for him. So I figured, why not get paid for it? When he passed away, I realized that as much as I love taking care of children, it became more difficult for me to do, but I still wanted to help patients. So I went back to school, got my engineering degree. And right as I was graduating, the dean came up to me and said that he had recommended me for a biomed position at the facility that I was working for. How convenient. So I interviewed for that position, and here I am today.
That's a great story. Thank you. Jewel, we heard you were an aircraft mechanic of sorts.
So I don't know why they just don't give me my own mic.
I know.
That's how it is. That's how it works for me. But okay, so how I got into the field was actually a series of unfortunate events. I was a military wife. My husband was a soldier. We had been married for 10 years, and he was traveling. He was infantry. He was always gone. And I was there doing an in-home daycare and said, oh my gosh, this cannot be everything that I'm doing. I need a career. So while he was in Korea for a year, I said, hey, I think I'm going to join. And he said, join what? I said, he was thinking military wives, and I'm like, no, I'm going to join the military. He was like, are you nuts? And I'm like, no, I need a career. I need something for my life. I kept trying to go to college, but life gets in the way and you can't afford it. And I'm saying I'm looking for benefits. So went down to the recruiter, decided I wanted to go into something that I can work with my hands, because my dad raised me like his other son. I learned to work on cars, and I learned to do construction work with him and things of that nature. But I ended up going into being an aircraft electrician. And when I got home, I was working on Black Hawks and Chinooks, because you kind of don't get any better than a Black Hawk. That's awesome. But I came home and did hometown recruiting so I could spend some time with my family. We got into a car accident. In the car accident, my face was crushed in. I broke both my arms, punctured lung, chest contusion. And I had to have 3 surgeries on my eyes. Right now, I have permanent double vision in my upper left gaze. But I couldn't get on the aircraft anymore because I lost my peripheral vision. Military reclassed me to work on smaller electronics, and they put me in biomed, and I'm like, what is this? Who wants to do this? I missed working on aircraft. I loved it. I fell in love with it, had a passion for it. Didn't know where I fit with small medical devices. I was working on a cash unit. I started going up in military seniority, became a corporal, then an E5, and I'm like, okay, but this is a field cash unit. Kept taking my soldiers over to a hospital. I had not quite found my passion for medical devices, the why. You know, to me, it's like, okay, I'm just still doing it. But once I got out, I got picked up by a hospital, and I just kind of fell in love with what we were doing. I'm like, this is what it's supposed to have really been about. It wasn't just keeping the unit up for readiness anymore, turning in reports saying, yes, we're ready if anything happens, and working on field sterilizers and things like that. I was in a hospital with actual patients, and at the end of the day, I had one phrase: not on my watch. I don't want to touch, or I don't want to do anything to a piece of equipment and then a patient can't go home. So for me, that became my passion and my mantra. I believe biomed is the first line of defense in patient safety, bar none. So for me, it's not on my watch, if that makes sense.
Thanks. So Anita is on the kind of the other side of HTM, but how did you get into this field?
Well, I got into this field. I was given my first opportunity by my past employer, BMES, and I was introduced into the medical equipment field. And then I grew a passion for it. I outgrew my position with that company, and I was inspired actually by the owner to open my own company. That's what led me to open Evolve Medical Solutions.
Awesome. Do anybody in the audience have a question for any of us? Yes.
JC, how did you, and what did you do specifically for your HVAC and refrigeration? I'm totally curious.
Oh, okay, so, all right, now that came out, I ended up getting my HVAC because for me it was, I had a leader, I was working in a hospital, and they needed a biomed, and I had to be dual. I had to work in facilities and work on the equipment, and I was the only tech, but they had a facilities team, but I was supposed to support them too. And the CEO was like, you trying to hire a woman for this? She can't do it. She can't do it. And I was like, challenge accepted. Yeah. So I went to, in Dallas, they had an HVAC school. And so the crazy thing is, I was working on my bachelor's and master's at the same time. I was doing a dual degree at Dallas Baptist University, where I was working. I got my associates in biomedical equipment technology from Ames Community College after I got out of the military, just so I could have some papers. So then I said, you know, let's get the rest of it. So I'm working on my bachelor's and my master's. This female challenged me. I'm like, okay, yeah. So school during the day, HVAC school at night. And then when I got out, it was the craziest thing. Yes, I'm working on chillers. I'm rodding boilers. I'm changing out the filters and stuff in the exhaust fans. I'm working on air handler units. I'm working on cooling towers, going checking measurements, blow down pressure. And then they had refrigerators, the hospital refrigeration systems, working in the cafeteria on their cooling systems. And I'm sitting here like, wow. This is different. But for me, it was so much fun. But I wanted to get in there and do all the things that I went to school for, you know, and I wanted to expand my knowledge. I do believe you should always continue to add to your tool belt. You never know when it's going to be needed and how it's going to help you. You never stop learning. But I have really enjoyed the HVAC side. I no longer do it as anymore, except at home. And then, you know, my husband is terrified. He's like, she's at it again. But I'm sitting here like, dude, I done watched MacGyver. How many years? I said, if we're ever stuck in a freezer with a defib, I can get us out. But, it has truly been a joy, even learning the construction side or helping them to build things in the hospital. That was even fun for me. And I got to a level that when the facility director had to go on PTO or a trip, it was crazy. He put me in charge of the hospital. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. This is gonna be awesome. So I kept going back to that same CEO that kept saying what I wasn't. And she just absolutely loved me. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, baby, you don't know what you're dealing with right here. Let's do it. But yeah, that's what I've.
Did you guys have your stationary engineers as well? Certification?
No, I did not. I kind of got to a point in my life where I kind of felt as if I was just educated to death. You know, even when it kept coming out for, hey, you're gonna get your CBET, you're gonna get your C-res, and I'm like, goodness gracious, my mind is, you know, already blown. Doing the dual degree, getting the master's, and then going out and doing it because I got my bachelor's in business studies and my master's in healthcare management. You know, because I wanted to, you know, not only just stay about me, but I kind of wanted to grow. I was the only master's student in the entrepreneurial courses with the undergrads because I love having an entrepreneurial spirit. You should always grow out and do things for yourself. Ain't no better boss than you for you. But that's just where I am.
What's some advice you can share with someone young and fresh entering the HTM profession? Jennifer, yeah, we haven't heard from you.
Yeah, because I'm one of the youngest on this panel, right? That's exactly what
We'll
it's
start with
coming
the
from.
youngest, yeah.
So I know based on where I started, and I look out this crowd, and I see my lead tech all the way in the back. The advice that he gave me when I started was great customer service and attention to detail. You can't go anywhere, doesn't matter what field you go into. That's the mantra that you should live by. It's a mantra I still preach to myself. A mantra that keeps me going every single day. Doesn't matter who pays your paycheck, because I know I have my own employers and everything on here, but they're the ones that sign the paycheck, but they shouldn't be the ones that dictate anything that you do for your client, your customer. What you do and what drives you for a lot of your whys should be patient safety, should be patient awareness, what you do for the support of those either that are associated with you and those that are around you, because you don't know who exactly you're impacting. I mean, there was to a point where we even had C-suite individuals under the same devices that we were servicing. And to me, that means everything. So not only are you impacting your patients' families, but you're affecting potentially your own client at certain points in their lives. So I know for me, my shop is less than 2 years. So within the last 2 years, it's fresh faces. They're all around my age. So what do I go back to and tell my guys, hey, you guys, I know that you guys haven't been at least with me for more than a year. Some of you are a little older, some of you are a little less older, some of them are students. So sometimes I scratch my head and I'm like, oh, exactly what do I tell my guys every time I go to work every day? What could potentially be their whys, especially when they're, you know, fresh out of school or fresh in the industry. Some of them don't even have association like facilitated degrees. They have a background in electronics, or maybe they have some military experience, but exactly what could drive them more towards medical devices? What makes them passionate about coming to work every day? You know, integrating themselves in the hospital setting while still being able to provide for their families at the end of the day. It's a mixture of different things, you know, but it's that familiarity, it's that respect that you have for yourself and for the sake of others that could potentially just drive you forward. Sometimes that's just really all that is. And just being able to, you know, recognize that and just drive that. To me, that's been the most important thing. So that's potentially where I'll drive at.
Yeah, try to find your why. You're right, as everybody said. I know for me, Ron and I were talking about this, it's like always work for that next job. Always strive for that next position. Do the work for that next position because that's what's going to get you there. Just sitting down and doing your current job is not going to propel you forward. Right?
Yeah, and I say, for me, is get your grind on. Any class offered, take it. Any training offered, take it. Only class I could offer my biomed techs at one time that came under budget so we can stay under the radar was HVAC school. It was like, $2,000. Yeah, I could write that up. I was the director. And they're like, HVAC? See, you better take that. You never know when you're going to need it, but it's free. It's training that I'm able to offer you right now. Go get it. And I'm like, yes. In your career, you need to grind hard when you first get in. Anything they got, anybody you can shadow, eat it up. You got to be hungry. You got to be hungry so you can go out there and get it. But get yourself a thumb drive, one thumb drive. Your career should be on your thumb drive. Every certificate you get, every piece of training you get, you log it, you write down what you did. Anytime you go to school, any attaboy you get, any accolade you get, it needs to be saved on your thumb drive. Any manuals you get, that was just yours. It's on your thumb drive. Whenever you change your job, you're okay because guess what? You got your thumb drive. But it's always about that grind. Your customer is always going to be your focus, but you better remember this, if nothing else. No one, I mean no one, deserves your bad day. Regardless of what happened to you that day, no matter how you woke up that morning, if you got to sit in your car and say, turn it on, turn it on, turn it on. Because not one patient, not one coworker deserves what you had to deal with this morning or last night. You give your 100 because they deserve your 100 until they show you that they don't. Does that make sense?
I'll add one more thing.
Yeah.
So whether you're new in the industry or not new in the industry, no matter how many years, I've always looked at it as how many times do I walk into the shop or the office, open the laptop, and I'm like, oh my God, look at how many emails, how many work orders, how many PMs, how many correctives. And it becomes, forget anxiety, it just becomes, I don't want to say an overburden, it just becomes very like, where do I start? How do I start it? Who do I contact? Where does all this begin? Where do I finish it off at the end of the day? And I'm sure we all know Mr. Bryant Hawkins. Mr. B. Hawk. He was one of those people, and not because he is here, but he was one of those people along with some other leaders that have grabbed me on the side and said, Rana, sit down, don't panic. First of all, my advice to you is your blessings. When you walk in, yes, grab a cup of coffee. I'm not saying go out to a shop and grab your coffee now. Grab your coffee right at your office, take a look. Walk around only one department and one department only. And I said, what's that department? It said ICU. If you look at the ICU patients, you have patients that are on ventilators, life support, critical conditions, all these things that are health-wise. When you look at them, you look at yourself, that becomes a blessing. Why? You're going to be that person that they're depending on for their equipment. You're going to be part of the domino effect to help these people feel better. And when I walk in at any day, no matter what my day looks like, the first department before I touch anything is I go up to that ICU and I look. My emotions play a big role. Look at this person. I hope they feel better. I pray for this person. I hope they, go home safely and recover safely. So that type of blessing gets me motivated inside, eager, wanting to do not only my best, not give only my 110, but do everything possible and impossible in my hands to get everything that I have on that laptop, on that work orders, the units, everything going for this person that I saw today, and the many that are sitting in that hospital beds to feel better and out that hospital back to their homes safely and happily with their families. That was one big advice that I continue to hold today. Again, thank you to Mr. Hawkins as well as other leaders that have brought that to my attention. Especially, I'm not a big whiner, but I am. But, and sometimes being the only female in the shop, and I'm like, oh my God, you know that work order. But again, I always take that opportunity and I hit that ICU unit as my big blessing as number one. My number two that I look at is, and this was approached today, bring your negativity to a positivity. No matter what kind of a day we wake up, we don't always wake up on the right side of the bed. We all have issues. That's fine. Put it on the side. Take a look. What can we do today to turn that around? Who needs us? We don't know what other people are going through, especially in our fields. You have people that can be struggling financially, health-wise, families, the whole 9 yards. When we put that on a side, we can, and again, like you said, which I'm 100% supportive, take that opportunity, learn from each other. If there's somebody out there that has better experience, we're like, oh, they have better experience, they're gonna beat me. They're gonna beat me to it. No, take that, turn it around, be their best friend. Learn the skills that they have. And it's never an embarrassing moment to say, well, I don't have the skills that you have, but we can work together and make it a better opportunity. And that's what makes the HTM field such a blessing, that we are here today sitting on all these tables, that we are learning not only from each other, but we're grabbing this whole career and we're making it expand for people to hear our voices, for people to know that we do exist. We are here for a reason. We have a domino effect, whether you are female, male, whatever, you want to put it in. As a field, we have a big effect. And if we continue to do this, we will become a success some way, somehow. Continue your education. Never stop. Learning never stops. Getting people's experiences, feedbacks. Never take it as an insult. Take it as an opportunity to grow. For me, at a time, there was when anybody that came up and said, Ron, I don't think you're a good fit in this position right now, I would sit there and talk to myself, oh my God, there goes my first failure. So what do? Do I run for the door? Do I jump out the window? Which one is it? And the only problem is I found out that Florida is, it's a flat. So wherever I did it, I was gonna end up in the same spot. So that's where I had to turn it around and accept it and take that position and say, okay, I don't fit in that position. How can I better myself? Where do I head? Where do I start? How do I put my goals? And meeting these amazing women here as well as everybody else, I was able to overcome all these little steps and progress throughout the way and continue to progress on there.
Yeah, there you go. Your question?
Yeah, have you ever run into any patients from the ICU later on?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes, and I do have to say, when I do run into them, if they're coming back for a checkup, they'll wave and say hello and they'll say thank you.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel better, even though these patients sometimes don't know what we do in the background, but just a small smile, gesture, recognition, or hey, I've seen you before,
Yeah.
I've seen you walk around the hallways a lot, what do you do? Those type of things bring an honor to me for what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, one time I was checking the monitor in ICU and the guy had like a really swollen tongue. I was thinking, well, guys checking the ICU and they don't leave, but this guy did, and he saw me in the mall. He says, hey, you're the guy who worked on my monitor.
You had a question back there?
Women have evolved in HTM, right? So are there still challenges that you guys face from your experience that you can share?
So yes, good. You were going to ask my next question. So Jewel and I go back 20-ish years, and back when we were coming up, we didn't see this many women. I didn't have this many women, colleagues, now friends, in HTM. It just didn't exist, right? So we've come a long way as females. Again, to get more women bring a whole different perspective into HTM. Yeah, there's the technical background, but there's also a lot of other things that bring value You know, we're natural nurturers, right? We care. We have that motherly instinct for those that are mothers. So we bring a lot of value, and it's fantastic to see that continue to grow. But I think there's obviously more we can do. We need men and women in HTM. HTM needs to grow exponentially. I mean, there's 400 or 500 jobs open right now across the country. You know, but getting more women in it will show the world. Like Jewel said, we can do whatever we want. You tell me I can't do it, by golly, I'll do it. That's how I got into it. My had no clue what I want to do. Was following my then now husband because he had to go get a piece of paper out of the military. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, I'd always been mechanically inclined, worked on cars, rebuilt engines. But I was like, I don't like getting the dirt under my nails. I was a little girly back then. So I saw the catalog and I was like, biomedical tech, this looks kind of interesting. Get to work indoors. So I went and talked to the dean, and he was like, yeah, you know, you get to work in a hospital setting and you get to fix stuff and you get to help patient care. And I was like, oh, this sounds cool. And he goes, and it's a male dominated field. And I said, sign me up. Sign me up. And I was one of 2 females in my class. And I did not see another female for probably 5 or 6 years before I met another female biomed. And now, I mean, we've got 7 of us standing up here, and there's so many more out in the audience. So it's fantastic. Anybody else want to answer?
I've seen a lot of challenges over my career. I've had doctors say, get a man in here. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yep.
You know, it was embarrassing, and especially for the man to come in and not be able to fix it. And I just walk in and I do 1, 2 things and it's up and going. I'm like, so much for your man, you know. But I've actually had somebody tell me as I'm working on a OR table, I'm on the floor, you know, under it. And he says, what you doing down there? Shouldn't you be at home in some kitchen somewhere? Yeah, I thought I was going to lose my religion that day. You know, all the black sister girl was going to come out of me. I was going to go all the way back to my heritage in Africa for that one. But I just looked at him real nice, and I'm like, were you raised in a barn? You know, have you been hidden in a cove somewhere? Women can do whatever they want to do. You know, and that's just how I was with it. I'm like, yes, I've had a lot of disrespect. I've had a lot of people talk down to me and tell me what I can and can't do. I even had a guy tell me, don't think you're going to come up in here and change how we do things because you're a woman. Really? Watch. You know, but I was like, wow, I had a supportive leadership team. I told my leader what happened. He went in there and he addressed the issue. And he says, you know, you don't talk to her like that. You don't talk to her like that. But you can learn a lot from her because look at what she's doing. I was improving process. That's another, you know, we bring a lot of stuff to the table, our experiences, our education, our history. I got there to a hospital and they were a little archaic in how they did PMs, how they did procedures, how they documented. And me having a military background, it was like, you know what, let me show you how a more efficient way to do this. But there have been several challenges. And like Andrea said, when we were coming up, there were not a whole lot of women. When I started teaching the biomedical equipment technology program at Brown Mackie College, I was the program lead. I had a classroom full of guys. And I'm like, you know what, this cannot be. Where are the women here? So every day, the admissions office were taking people who were wanting to come visit the school and walking them around. I would stop my class, go stand in the door, and if it was a woman, I made it my point to let her know about this industry. So much so that I would take a Prisma Flex dialysis machine, open it up, and I would give her a talk, and she would say, I don't think I could do that. That's it. And I explained the system to her, what the boards did, and she was like, that's it? I said, yep, that's it. And she was like, I can do that. I said, yes, you can. I would even go into classes when they would have me teaching business classes, and I would talk about our industry. And I never forget the first time I went into one class for intro to business, I had 4 women change their program, and they came over to biomed. And I was like, yes, we all got to do our part as ladies to tell other women about this program. What they see on TV and what they get from other people, you got to be this way, you got to be that way. No, you have more that you can offer, and there's more that you can do. We just need to share what we do. People will come online.
Do you guys feel there's enough diversity? Not just women versus men, diversity in general?
Okay.
You got a whole diverse panel.
Exactly, that's why I'm asking the question.
So
Everybody's gonna have
I
their
can
perspective.
start speaking from like my shop. We have Latin people, we have women, we have Indian, Black people, we have American, white American, we have all kinds of people in my shop. But I know that's not the rule in the rest of the country. I know a lot of the shops out there are not diverse. So yes, no, there is not enough diversity, but we're getting there. We're getting there, and I know there is some room for improvement in that. So.
I can speak also, coming from a different background. I don't see as much diversity as there should be. But again, this is why we're here, is to promote that, to get, there's other countries, like you said, that don't know about HTM. They don't know what's out there, what opportunities there are. This is where we take this opportunity. That's why we take photos, videos, we use social media, we collaborate with everybody to get that promoted out there. That way, if there is somebody that is interested, we get our words out there. And for me personally, myself as Rana, I always, whenever I see somebody from a different background, especially those that don't have, because I was one of them, English was not my first language. So to be seeing these people that don't have English as the first language, to expand, to get the opportunities out there, to be working in the HTM field makes me very happy. And what makes me even happier than that is seeing those that actually have the English as the first language, helping them, being their guidance, showing them what opportunities are out there, what advantages they have, how to get their paths through to become successful. And again, collaboration and united together is what makes it such a big and better opportunity for all of us.
I know our last meeting that we had at Collin, Jewel was looking outside the box. The HTM program at college is affordable. I mean, it's cheap. So it's like, okay, let's look at it from a different angle. Going into these communities that could otherwise not afford a 4-year college, lower income, and grabbing those folks. They need opportunities, and this field is a perfect opportunity, again, because of the cost of the college was so low. It's like, why are we not looking at underserved communities? Because we can get them scholarships, help them get there, and they're not out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a program. So.
And you have to look at it like this, and it's crazy. I told you, she gave me a mic.
You should be standing up here.
I know, but no. Okay, so, but to me, it's like this. It's a no-brainer for me. We have so many people out there that really can't afford college. Parents want to send their kids to school. They want them to go to the big 4-year university and become somebody, but you don't have to do that. The highest degree you need in our field is an associate's. The only reason you go after a bachelor's in biomedical engineering is if you're hoping to do something, even grander. But to be a biomed tech, certificate or an associate's. But what does that mean for your salary, your income? You can feed your family off of that associate's. You can do more than feed your family off an associate's. I have people who are associates, they're managers. They're not going to directors, because a lot of people require a bachelor's for a director. But I encourage them when they got their associates and they've been in so many years, all right, it's time for you to go get your business degree. Do I need one? Yes, you do, because you're getting to a point where you're going to be leading others. And you need to learn how to do that. And you need to learn the financial aspects of capital, equipment, and budgeting. But that's all you need for that. And we want to go to the underserved communities, pull them in, and let their parents know your child can still have a quality education, go out and get a wonderful job, have an excellent career where they're adding value to the community and bringing honor to your family if you guys' thing. But that's all he needs is an associate.
Yes.
So, your question about diversity, I was surprised 2 years ago when I took the director of the University of Chicago, and we had 24 technicians in the room. And 2 years later, we had 12 technicians in the room. So we saw a dramatic improvement in the camaraderie in the shop, in the work that was being done. But my question for you is, as a leader, what can leaders do to help females advance? Because right now what I have is a lot of new tech females, and I want them to be inspired to move on to level 2, move on to level 3, move on to imaging, move on to management. What is it as a senior leader can we do to help influence our female technicians to move on from positive states and to build their careers?
I think, I mean, so I'm a senior director, so I've seen that. I think it's no different from male to female, but especially for the females is to have their back. Like Joel said, I mean, you've got to have, as a leader, you have to be supportive for your staff. For females, I think you just have to take that extra little time and just have an open conversation. You know, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? And be that support system for there. I've had leaders in the past that they don't mentor me. I just go about my day. Did a great job, but I was going nowhere. I was flat. The next leader that came in, we met weekly. We had one-on-ones. And after a couple of weeks, I started getting comfortable, like, oh, he genuinely cares and he wants to know. And then, you know, we had personal conversations and he got to know me and I got to know him. And it's like, okay, now I can start being a little more open and vulnerable about what I want. Because as women, we'll go on about our business and we're not very, at least from my standpoint, I'm not very like, hey, when am I going to get promoted? What do I need to get that promotion? Because it's like, I'm just going to keep on going, right? So I start having those conversations like, hey, you've got leaders in IT that have less responsibility, that are making 2-3 times as much as I am. And I'm, you know, from a salary standpoint, I'm down here. How do I advance? What's my next step? How do I get there? And we just started having those open conversations. I think just taking that extra step in the one-on-ones has been super helpful.
And honestly, I think it's a balancing act as a leader, because if you start paying more attention to the females that you got in your shop, you got your males in the shop, like, oh, you're treating her like that because she's a woman. Oh, she's getting this and that. And then there's that favoritism. You got that, you know, and I'm like, I battled that. I was the director of 23 team members. And out of all my team leads, I had 4 male team leads. And I had women who were looking for opportunity, but they didn't even want to apply because they're like, no, they'll never give it to me. They got dudes up there, you know, and it's not about that. One is when you talk to your team, you level the playing field. So you know what? It's not about any of it. I'm supporting all of you and whatever your goals are. Come and talk to me and share me what you want to do. All of them got to know you got their back because, you know, as a leader, it is because of them that you're where you are. They make you look good with the activities that you do. You give them guidance, they execute. Your missions get done. So that comes with reward. For women to relax and say, all right, I can tell him this is what I want. It's about making sure you're opening that opportunity for all of them. Men are naturally logic-based and women are emotional-based, and that makes a big difference. But you as a leader know that you got to talk to each employee at their level. So even though you're talking to your male with that logic base, you go to your females with that emotional base and say, hey, I want to see you succeed. And I'm here to support you. If you want to learn something, just let me know. If you want to shadow someone, talk to me about it. But it's that support, and you're talking to them at that level that they know, hey, I've been interested in imaging. Can I get into that? And then, it's one of those things that you can address your male components with that logic, like, hey, you guys got a lot going on. She wants to shadow and learn. Train her so she can assist you. Then you helped out both and they're growing. But it's definitely about meeting them at their level of expectation, open the doors to opportunity and allowing them to flourish. And if they are making a mistake and not getting it, it's definitely one of encouragement instead of, hey, this ain't for you. And it's like, you know what, let's try this again. And I need you to focus this time on what you're learning. If you want to, record it so you can learn it right and go back over it and see it again. But that's your encouragement, and that's not just for the female, that's for all of them. But in that same token, in that same statement, you've met her at her level emotionally with the encouragement and the support, and she knows that she's not doing a bad job. You give all your team members, say, hey, you guys have done an excellent job. But you push that door for cross-training and collaboration. I even came up with a thing that 2 days out of the week, I made my team members partner up and go do things together. That way you're still letting them grow, but you're not focusing on one particular person or gender, but they're all getting the same level of training and the opportunities for growth. So when they want to level up, they can see what they've done in their career, and their counterparts can see what they've done to say, all right, well deserved.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a professor in a biomedical engineering program, and currently about half of our students are women, which has been growing over the years, which has been good. But consistently, what I've seen for the last 20 years is that some of our brightest students, the sharpest ones in the class, consistently are women. But what they almost, again, consistency lack is confidence. They often don't know how good they really are and what they can really do. And it's quite a contrast to the guys, because the guys are just smart. They don't know that they don't know. Puzzling is because it really limits them. They come out of this place at 3.8, 3.9 grade points. I mean, sharp people, but they just don't believe it. And what have you guys done? Maybe how did you overcome some of that? But I think it starts probably in our grade schools, where it's kind of very uncool for women to be smart. And so I think that the stigma or whatever it may have happened, experience, but how did you overcome some of that stuff and get to an escape velocity, if you will, with your confidence, so that you can go out and do the things that you're doing?
I'll talk last. All right.
Speaking of confidence.
So I'll take it from my personal experience. Being in school, like you said, honors, straight A's, it was great. But when it came to reality, that's where my father kind of stepped in as a male figure and as a backbone and support and said, I understand, yes, all your years, straight A's, honors, great. But now you're coming to the real world, and this is where I have to step in. You decided to become a biomedical engineer, and I honor that and I respect it. But you need a backbone because this is a male dominant, and that blew my mind away because my father had more of a background than I did regarding that field. Again, we go back to support. We go back to something that I call an open door policy. First thing when he came, he said, so open door policy, any issues that you have, that you face, come to me because I will give you the male perspective of it. I will tell you what we're thinking, what we're facing, what we see, what we don't see. That was where my security came in. Going out to the field, yes, faced many challenges. But again, those challenges I put on the side and I took it and I accepted this challenge to overcome. That was a goal for me. So anything that came as an obstacle was more of a goal. I will prove that person wrong. I will make this right. I will take that extra time. Yes, I will go home. I may be, and again, we're females, we're emotional. Yes, I might cry it out for a couple of minutes. I might sit in the car and go, oh my God, why is it me? Why is it me? But I'll towards the end, I'll get over it. And again, I will take that and turn it around. I will turn it around into, okay, what other perspective can I do this from? Forget books, forget grades. Now, how can I apply it to reality? Reality. I have an amazing support system right on this panel as well as along with you here. I look at that. How can I use each and every person's perspective of it? How can I overcome it? Where do I head into this? But again, those leaders that we have that are very open-minded, that will give us, like you said, extra time, open door policy, understand a female's point of view, what are our goals? All these things play such a big role that it gives us the confidence to say, I can do this. Yes, I will apply for that job. Again, how many jobs did I apply and get rejected? Why? Because that person felt I was not the best fit. Again, I looked at myself, oh my God, here we go, another failure, Rana, another failure. But no, it wasn't. It was a blessing. Why? Took that, turned it around, went back to my dad and I said, listen, I interviewed, it was like an hour and a half. I was sweating like no tomorrow and I still got rejected. Okay, not a problem, Ron. Let's take a look. Why? What's going on? You still don't have enough experience in this area. Or you know what? Speak to somebody that has more experience in here. See what alternative routes you have. Again, it's a support system. And it does not always have to come from family. A lot of the times it came from also not only my household, but from friends, from people in the industry, leaders. And they did not have to be leaders within my same company. They were leaders just like everybody else here. So I took that and I could have probably picked your brain out as a leader too, and taken that support system also. And again, as long as there is the confidence, the trust, the support, everything becomes overcoming for a female to be in that industry field to take that step forward.
So to me, the day I learned the word mansplaining, I was like, okay, so you mean they're not speaking the truth all the time? So as a woman, we try to be perfect all the time. And we try to always be right. And we don't want to do anything wrong. And we just are looking always for perfection. But that sometimes is wrong. It's not good. It's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to try your best and not do what you wanted to do to be that perfect person. So for us, your question, like what do I do to be confident is, well, I also read books that talk about that, how women are afraid of speaking up, or because they don't want to be judged, because they don't want to be discriminated, because all of that stuff. But men also play an important role in our lives, like her dad. In my case was my dad as well, but I also had a leader, my supervisor. He's the one that always pushed me to do stuff that I didn't know I could do. He saw that like light in me, like that he saw that I was able to do a lot of the stuff that I didn't believe. And he pushed me to get my CBET. He pushed me to finish my bachelor's. And now he's pushing me to get my master's. And he's not he doesn't work with me anymore, but even from far away, he's still like, did you start your master's yet? So we also need, that men's support in our life. And we need our, find that confidence.
Okay, I'll last. All right. So as an instructor, well, I'm going to address you because one instructor to another. All right, the confidence begins when you're working with anyone, but the confidence begins when they're doing their hands-on for equipment. I did a bug out block because I know that when it comes down to techs, they're all books, they're trying to learn, but then they don't know what to do. I did a bug out block, and in the bug out block, after I teach the equipment, I break the equipment. And I tell them, you can't ask me anything. You have to work on it and you have to build on it yourself. But the bugs I put in it were based to build confidence. After they worked on it and they found the problem, I reinforced in them, great job. You definitely know the equipment, you know what you're doing. But one of the first things I was told was, Jewel, you gotta have a thick skin, because coming in the military, these guys ain't gonna be nice to you, but you have to have a thick skin. But I built confidence in the classroom. And then one of the things I did is when they were young in school, I brought them to an MD Expo. And I put them around groups of other technicians so they can hear them talk. First time they went, they didn't understand everything was going over their head. I'm like, wow, wow. But when they came back, what I found was they were like, I didn't understand nothing they were talking about, but next time I will, because I wanted to be part of that conversation. And it made them grind harder and work harder. So the next year when they went, they were able to hang in the conversations that built up their confidence. They got themselves to a level where they can hang. They felt professional. They felt ready. That by the time they graduated, and it's fortunate, several of them got hired before they even graduated. But it was just putting them out there in an environment where they have to perform. Let them see what's expected. Once they see what's expected, they see what the challenge is. Women are natural at, you know what, you brought it to me, I'm gonna handle it. Because that's just what we do every day. Got a sick kid, I'm gonna handle it. So if you need something to eat, let me handle it. If all of it have to happen at the same time, we turn into a daggum octopus and we get it done. But at the end of the day, they're gonna rise to the occasion and they're gonna walk out more confident than before.